Hey there, welcome to episode 163 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I'm your host, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Dan Hugo. We're recording this at 11:43 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in the Greater Vegas area on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. We normally publish this audio program on Tuesdays, often in the morning, if we record it first. So... another Tuesday afternoon. Is that a song? Moody Blues? Tuesday afternoon. Today's title and topic, Deferring the Challenge. Of course, I'm referring to the Smarter Smart City Challenge, which was to be 2026. Now it will be 2027. Why? Why is that? Well, stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it. If you're not familiar with the Innovate for Vegas Foundation or perhaps the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program, did I say episode 163 of Innovate? Well, Let's Innovate for Vegas is the audio program you're listening to right now. Congratulations. We are a 501c3 public charity. We're a Nevada nonprofit corporation. We were founded in 2022, a reboot of the original Code for Vegas. In fact, we were originally the Code for Vegas Foundation. We renamed when was that? It was later that same year, 2022, I think. Distant memories are exactly where they should be in the past. But we renamed from Code for Vegas Foundation to the Innovate for Vegas Foundation to be more broadly inclusive of notions. Not everything is code, after all. If we ever get out of the civic volunteer winter, we have many initiatives focused on community elevation. In fact, our purpose statement is officially written down on real paper. To enable and encourage ideation, innovation, and implementation to make our communities better. So we basically point our efforts, our innovation efforts, back at ourselves as a population to indeed make things better. We are an actual Nevada nonprofit corporation, so we have board members. In fact, we have a couple of empty seats if anybody's interested in what we're doing, and if you want to be a part of that in that way, with bylaws, and we file our taxes and all that. We have not drawn much in the way of donations, but we were also a 1023-EZ public charity. So we had a $50,000 revenue or gross receipts cap, gross receipts cap per year for the first 3 years. So we are currently in fiscal year 4, which you know what that means. We still will come nowhere near $50,000 in donations. But you never know. You never know. So on that note, hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a brief summary. It's not as brief as normal, but it's not too bad. And the links for today's episode are only the two usual. I was thinking, should I link to the Smart City Vegas website? But we're linking to it from our website. So I want to make sure that we get people coming to the origin. The Innovate for Vegas Foundation is the lead facilitator and the fiscal sponsor of the Smarter Smart City Challenge. So as long as you can find our website, the rest is a piece of cake. So let's get started so we can publish today's episode. The summary of today's episode, in fact, no, not canceled, but our efforts to kick off the Smarter Smart City Challenge for 2026 here in Greater Vegas were met with exactly the sorts of things we need to work through to enable and encourage ideation, innovation, and implementation at scale. Let's talk about it. The links, as usual, Innovate for Vegas is spelled out F-O-R, Innovate F-O-R Vegas, .org. That's our normal website activities. If we have participants, if we have proactive development of more than one person, by more than one person, I should say, then that's where you'll find information about our various initiatives and so on. Innovate for Vegas activity at innovateforvegas.org. It's not really activity. I mean, it's our homepage, as opposed to the foundation website, which is innovateforvegas.foundation. That one's more about the fact that we are a Nevada nonprofit corporation. Why split them? Well, if you're looking for a project to work on, if you are interested in our initiatives, if you would like to participate or contribute from external, maybe you're in an external, in another cohort and you'd like to contribute something externally, you would go to innovateforvegas.org. If you're curious about joining the board, if you're curious about our finances, our bylaws, and so on, you would go to innovateforvegas.foundation. Two sides of the same coin. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about all those things I just said. You've got the links. Now, the Smarter Smart City Challenge will start off at the smart-city.vegas website. But again, easier to link to than to mention. The Smart City Vegas website. And yes, of course, there will be smarter.smart-city.vegas. Better clicked on than typed. But the idea is to have that be the home base for our smart city efforts. And I will point out our mission has been to make our smart city smarter since we kicked this off. The refounding, the reboot of Code for Vegas as Code for Vegas Foundation, and then renamed to the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, all back in 2022. So we are slowly but surely putting all the pieces together towards those ends. So let's talk about the Smarter Smart City Challenge. The initial plan for the Smarter Smart City Challenge, and it is planned, is intended to be broadly inclusive. It'd be broadly inclusive of anyone in the greater Vegas area, in fact, to participate in concocting, it's a word you don't get often, a response to the namesake challenge, Smarter Smart City Challenge, so that you might make our smart city smarter in the form of a presentation, a website, a slide deck, a proposal, a sculpture, a mural, a document, a piece of code. Not everything is code, but code is appearing in more places lately. Maybe you have a math model. It can go in any direction. Basically anything goes. Obviously, this is going to be confusing, probably along the lines of, wait, I can do anything like, and then fill in the blank. And then some wandering tests of suggestions along the lines of examples I just gave. Wait, I can make a presentation? Yes. Wait, I can make a sculpture? Yes. Can I make a presentation about a sculpture? Sure. The idea is to engage people in the greater Vegas area and beyond, to elevate communities, to pick on that one problem that somebody should fix that. Well, come up with an idea. In order to enable the largest number of people to participate, the challenge timeline is not a hackathon weekend nor a week or month-long contest of some sort, but instead a year-long interval, which would have, and technically it did, begin on March 1st, 2026 and extend into January of 2027. It's a pretty long time, enough, I think, to spend a little bit of time here and there to try to solve some real problem or pursue some real idea to present to Vegas in January. Now, we want to enable anyone of any age, background, and interest to participate in the challenge across any topic, project time, and so on. So work on anything with friends, with colleagues, by yourself, work on multiple projects, all that. So we want to include everybody. That means we really need to be able to reach out to everybody so that they have an idea that this opportunity even exists. Like, oh, I didn't know everybody was working on this. And if only that would actually happen. And the chicken and egg problem. We can get sponsors and prizes and events to fall in line without participants signed up. Can we? No, not really. And can we get any signups without sponsors and prizes and events? With the famous question, is there going to be free food? We were going to aim for early signups and try to get about 150 people interested in March through April 2026. So a month or two of outreach to finalize plans and to help with some outreach beyond the 150, perhaps. Well, why are we deferring it? Well, let me tell you. LinkedIn, of course. I'm not blaming LinkedIn, but I am lamenting LinkedIn. So how do we reach out to the people of Las Vegas without something like this? LinkedIn. LinkedIn, of course. I'm sorry. My whole point. I just stepped on it. How do we reach out to people of Las Vegas about something like this Smarter Smart City Challenge? Well, with LinkedIn, of course, which is not a great thing. But it is the way in Greater Vegas to announce things, maintain connections via additional announcements about things, and of course, getting people to follow a page or to connect in your network to get them to like and reshare posts on a page that they're following, and maybe even invite their connections to follow or interact with posts on that page. So we have a couple of pages. I launched a LinkedIn page for the challenge, this Smart City Vegas, and LinkedIn offered 250 invitations for the first month. This has been standard. So, and then the second month and so on. So I created the page right at the end of January of 2026. So I had 250 invites in about 3 days or so. I figured, well, I should make the most of the invitations while I have them. So I invited 250 people to whom I am already connected. So invites can only be sent to people you're connected to. So January, February, and then into March, I was invited. Now, and by the way, LinkedIn is now pulling back, so you only get 50 invitations per month for free for a non-premium page. So you have to pay for actual invitations, but not such a big deal, which I'll share with you shortly. So I got 250 invitations out at the end of January, then another 250 just at the beginning of February. So I was contacting people I knew, or I'm connected to anyway, and into March, and then so there. I didn't do 250 in March, so I still have a bunch. I still have, I think, about 200 invitations for March. So there are more than 500 invitations out there that have been unresponded to. I will leave the estimate at 500 because if someone accepts and follows the page, there is another invite added to the available invite balance. So you get one back. So you invite 250, you'll have 0 remaining. Somebody follows the page. Now you have 1. So while I've invited more than 500 people, a lot more, we do. So at least, anyway, I won't trouble you with math and whatnot because I really didn't do the math. We do have a little over 160 followers now. I think it's 167 maybe. I invited people who would find this challenge interesting, I think, with some Nevada-related context. So either they're in Vegas or somewhere in Nevada. A few people are not located in Nevada, but that's okay. They have some interest in the greater Vegas scene. So unlike our foundation page, this page is more focused and probably has a smaller interest footprint. So 160 followers, though, is pretty rough, given that there are 500 more invitations unresponded to. So you see what I'm saying, right? There were more than 500 invitations sent. We have 160 followers. So did I send 660 invites? Maybe it's a little bit more. Because even though I spent the 250 each month, January, February, people followed. So hopefully, anyway, that's not the point of this rundown. Follow and forget is a problem. So there are many problems with LinkedIn. I am not a fan. I've been using LinkedIn for a while, and I would like to stop using it. And in fact, I myself have largely stopped using it for my personal interactions. I did not have high hopes for our Smart City Vegas page, and I would say that so far my doubts were well founded. We do have over 160 followers of the page, and you would think that that would mean something. Probably would have at some point. LinkedIn has changed a lot since I signed up for my account in 2003, 3 months after the platform launched. Now, the algorithm, which has only gotten weirder over the decades, plays a huge role in who sees what. So I have no idea whether 160 plus people are seeing posts. They do show you how many people saw a particular post, impressions. The impression counters for posts suggests, no, not so much, not 160 people. It's usually more like 20, 30, maybe more, but it's in the tens. Let me, since we're here and we're on the topic, we'll say our pinned post announcing, we have 168 followers. Our pinned post announcing that we have deferred the Smarter Smart City Challenge has 40 impressions, 40 out of 160 followers. So the impression counter suggests, again, that we are not getting all of our followers. They might not be shown the posts or notifications of posts, or they may or may not be interested in following a notification So if you only get a notification that says Smart City Vegas posted something new, they may, whoever it is, may completely ignore it. So who knows? Perhaps they're just generally not interested. So what we are seeing, and I've actually received confirmation from people who spend all of their time as professional LinkedIn branding consultants, that the follow and forget phenomenon is real. Maybe people follow to be nice, to be supportive in some way, or because they are initially curious, what's this? But interest ends there for all practical purposes. In my view, the follow is an opportunity to announce existence, but little more than that. Smart City Vegas is the thing, which is tricky because somebody might think that it's a commercial venture and not a nonprofit, fiscally sponsored community elevation event. Yeah, not quite an event. It's ideally it would be ongoing. So 2028. We have over 900 followers of our foundation page and a similar lack of engagement of any kind there. So we are either not at critical mass, and there are people with 5,000 followers, 50,000 followers. We don't have that. Or maybe we're just not finding our actual interested audience. And it's probably both, but I think the latter point is more interesting, and we can do something about that. Our interested audience may or may not be using LinkedIn. They may or may not be connected to me, and so I may not have invited them. But then that's another issue with how LinkedIn works, and something we'll have to work on in general for our culture of innovation. Now, I've been tagging people. So I mention them at mentions, at name. You may be wondering, did we tag anyone by naming to increase the likelihood that we would get some engagement, to increase awareness of the challenge, the Smarter Smart City Challenge? Well, I already answered that. Yes, we did. More than once. Tagging is only slightly more effective than follower engagement in our context. If we examine our numbers, which probably falls again to a critical mass issue. That is, if you are tagged in a post on a page and the post has zero engagement otherwise, well, there may be a little interest to be noticed. So if we tag someone and that one person clicks on it, but there's no other visible engagement for a casual consumer of the page, they may figure, what is this? So it's the empty restaurant problem, right? Who can say exactly what's going on, but tagging is not a solution, not for us anyway. I will say that for myself, I really hope that our outreach to press and educators and explicit tagging of people in those respective fields would yield some sort of engagement, even a direct message or email outreach along the lines of, now, what is this exactly? That would have been encouraging, but no such luck. Or if we're being honest, interest. Put a pin in that. We will return to it. One of the issues we can all see from LinkedIn is the river of news format, where personal and company pages are basically newest first stacks of posts, maybe with pictures or video. In fact, if you want anyone to notice something, you pretty much have to have a picture or an animated GIF. Those are interesting. Something to get attention. These rivers, and this was a term coined by Dave Weiner of RSS fame many, many years ago. The rivers are merged together with algorithms to determine who wants to see what and when, and that's that. You don't really get much of a say. You can spend money to boost, but yeah. I am going to guess, so that we're fighting against that. Oh, free page? We'll throw you in there, here and there. I'm going to guess a page that did not grab attention initially, even if it was tagged in a post on the page with people names, is not going to draw you in with a tag calling you to engage with something. That's just, we don't have the mass, the population of page followers. We don't have organic engagement and so on. People are busy, and LinkedIn is not, as it was a couple of decades ago, more of a casual business card contact site, right? Like, oh, where's my former colleague working now? That was a fine feature of the original LinkedIn. And that's still true, but it's hidden behind the new Instagram and so on. This is the core reason for the disdain on my part. One must feed the algorithm to be seen, and that is not our purpose. Like, we are not spending our full-time days trying to figure out how to get LinkedIn to show the 160 people our posts. So we really have better things to do. I know that's a vicious circle. So we did direct educator and press outreach. So we reached out specifically to our local press, our local media, people working in television, online video of some sort, like our television news channels. I haven't watched television in, I don't know, 15 years, maybe longer. So everything is online now, video on demand and so on. So people doing television or online video and news channels, journalists writing for our online print media, anyone else, even a YouTube influencer was in there on the list, a Vegas influencer. We got nothing. We got nothing. This is tagging posts and a few direct messages or email. We have the LinkedIn effect, where there may not be a consistent connection between the topic and the outreach. So in other words, what is this? I don't know, whatever. Because it is a river of news, you don't really have there's no front page. So when you visit or when you see, Smart City Vegas has posted something about, what is this again? I don't know. And you go, but there's no context. So if you haven't visited frequently, or if you're not proactively interested, I don't know what this is. I don't even remember why I follow this page, etc. I don't know if it's a positive or negative experience. So we don't hear back or get any sort of engagement from the outreach to the press, but we don't have an opportunity to expand our exposure via a press mention, nor would we have connections in progress and the event unfolds through this year if we did. So we wouldn't be able to reach more people by having the press mention that progress. So in other words, we're kind of stuck behind a disinterested media pool. Not helpful. In fact, this is bad. This is sort of a systematic or endemic problem with the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, but that's a different audio program. With educators, recall that we are not reaching out to minors. I've mentioned that in previous episodes, and that's mentioned all over our profile page on LinkedIn and our website, Smart City Vegas. This is something that applies to the foundation in general, where minor participation is important, even essential, perhaps even critical to the cultivation of a culture of innovation here in Greater Vegas. No question about this. But at the same time, we are not going to try to approach minors to participate individually. Parental permission has always been our policy, but we would really like to see educators and parents be involved in this challenge as associates, facilitators, partners almost. So the adults in the room literally are a part of it, right? So you're not just saying, go do some sort of thing for our city, like, let's get in on this, let's participate this weekend or something, whatever events we put together. So once again, no real engagement via tag posts nor indirect messages or emails. And while the press situation is something we will be working with and around, trying to do some of our own efforts with our existing initiatives about information sharing, without educator and parent interest and participation, at least reaching out to students or their offspring. So parents, you probably don't have, you may have students, I don't know, but without parents and educators participating, I say educator because it could be a principal, it could be adjacent to a teacher, maybe some mentors, or school district administration, superintendents, and so on. So anybody in the education space engaging young people, and then parents engaging the young people that you are involved with. Just think of it as the adult layer to interact with young people. So we won't have young people taking part if we can't reach them. And again, we're just not going to be approaching young people. We're not going to put up flyers or hang out at, I don't even know how that would work, frankly. We're not in the business of engaging minors. Young people should participate for the sake of our future, I think, in the cultivation of our culture of innovation, and ideally educators and parents want to participate in that effort. So if we can't reach young people This will be a substantial minus, which is not good. Since LinkedIn is LinkedIn with the river of news format and a lot of noise and the algorithm to contend with, relying in any way on LinkedIn to reach anyone who might be interested in the goals of this challenge is likely not well served. If you're not following the right person or page, you may never find anything, oh, I didn't even know about this. I'm not following the correct, 4 people. So LinkedIn as the primary and worse, only outreach path is a problem to solve. And until we do the 2026 challenge timeline is ticking away every single day without engagement. If you think 150 is a lot, at this point, 1 would have been a lot because we're simply not reaching our target audience. Whether that's they're just not seeing our posts or they're not aware, nobody is telling them and so on. Ideally, people on LinkedIn would, oh, this looks interesting. Let me share this with my colleagues. LinkedIn does that when you have a reaction to a post. It will tell through the notification scheme, it will tell the people connected to the person who reacts, so-and-so liked a page on Smart City Vegas or liked a post. So without any sort of virality, our posts are not getting out. Again, 40 organic views on a page with 160 followers. That's not great. 25%, and then 0 reaction, 0 engagement. I don't know if it's lack of interest or what. It's far from ideal. And while the lack of response is not a surprise, the question is whether this is a lack of interest again, or a lack of awareness and free time to actually consume the notion. I'm too busy. What is the Smart City Vegas thing? I'll check it later, or not at all. We can't spend time on our local media types. Hey, YouTuber, if the press doesn't get it, we will not be surprised. But our local educators are going to be a fundamental make or break population. And if they're not going to be, that's a problem. So educators along with parents, but really educators, let's be honest. Educators, especially in innovation and STEM areas, have a captive audience, almost literally. Like you can make a class project. Part of this is to be creative, or dare I say it, innovative in how we engage all of the people of Greater Vegas. So we're going to need to get this sorted. There's just no question. And burning up time for the 2026 calendar year for the sake of just trying to find people so that they know the Smarter Smart City Challenge exists, to me is something of a waste. So if we have no proaction on the part of our local press, which again, while I could say is disappointing, it's not surprising, and our local educator pool, which is surprising and disappointing, we're going to have to be creative. So the deferral and strategy. So we're not canceling the Smarter Smart City Challenge. We're just deferring it to January of 2027. So now we have the rest of this calendar year to get the word out, to work on ideas. So we'd really like to co-create. We'd like to collaborate with the people who want to participate. So we come up with a series of events or interactions or program materials. Like we need a list of references. We need some sort of helpful, whatever. We need a mentor program so that people who want help can, like, hey, I want to try to fix something with my local park. Well, let's put you in touch with the parks and recreation people. If you're not thinking of the TV show, then maybe you should be. The possibilities are almost endless. That's the point, is to enable and encourage people of the Greater Vegas area to look around and say, this is something that I think should be fixed. And now I'm going to express my ideas about what that really means. So community engagement for the win. So the deferral and our strategy moving forward, we would have to be completely oblivious to the state of the world to not consider the price of gas, and all manner of other distractions happening right now. It's likely to continue happening through the rest of the year, certainly until November. LinkedIn is absolutely not the best way to reach our target audience on a good day or year. So the failure to properly engage our seed audience, those 150 people, if you will, is not a surprise, and it will not get better on its own during this calendar year. So rather than burning through challenge time, we can just start the challenge time in January of 2027. None of this is a surprise. We're not even disappointed. though it would be nice if there were a few more people interested in knowing more before they gave us the ghost. Vegas is big on the ghost protocol. We need to have a small critical mass to move forward with the full-scale challenge. Why? Because we cannot possibly make this event into what it could be and should be with 5 or 10 people joining in. In fact, if we only get 5 or 10 people, not going to happen. With zero apparent interest in our weekly early adopter meetup online, for example, we have 0 people attending, but we probably also have 0 people even aware of it. So that's, another chicken and egg. And we have no alternate avenues to get the word out. You might say, well, just post on Twitter or whatever they call that, or Facebook or something. Social media is not the right place for this. To be honest, we've had social media accounts for the history of our existence and we get nothing. It's a different crowd. It's probably a different angle to tackle in coming weeks, what that actually means. The expanse of influencers and social media networks and our experience with those is an entirely different conversation. Though the spoiler alert is people in Vegas are not looking for innovation challenges on Twitter, nor on TikTok, and so on. So it's just not a good fit. Sad but true. Instead of having days and weeks to reach critical mass, we have months. So we can just spend the rest of 2026 preparing for 2027. You may ask yourself, or you may ask me, well, why are you trying to do this in such a short timeline? Well, experiment. This has been a highly educational experience trying to get something in the innovation space moving at what I would call innovation pace. If everything that should take weeks takes years, well, we're not a global hub of innovation, let's be honest. So that's one of the things that needs to change is people need to exercise proaction when it comes to interesting topics and interesting opportunities to pursue those topics, for example. Ideally, the full challenge participation population will reach around 1,500 people. If the Clark County population is still 2.3 million, 1,500 is approximately 0%. So that's not a lot of people. And by the way, I have been in a hackathon a couple of times when I was working for Intel. I was at hackathon events with 1,500 people. It is doable, assuming people know about it and see the opportunity and the value of their participation. There is not an official start date, really, so anyone can join in whenever they want. So you can start pondering now if you want, why not? But we do need to have enough people involved to enable proper programming, like event planning and so on, incentives and prizes, maybe a hackathon or 2, and so on. Rather than crossing fingers and hoping with the barriers we have already encountered, don't get me started on interest from city or county government or related agencies. That is 0. That one I don't understand, but this is not Silicon Valley after all. We pivot to get around the barriers and to make the challenge in 2027 so that we have time to do all that. And then the challenge would last through the entire year. So instead of burning up challenge time, we'll burn up the former challenge time, 2026, on outreach. No, we're not burning it up in a bad way. We'll spend the time on outreach, engagement, and developing some process items that I'm going to mention next. And we'll see what we can do when we have more time focused on outreach and getting off LinkedIn. It's a more honest attempt at a 1-year effort to cultivate a culture of innovation here in the greater Vegas area. So our strategy examples, we cannot rely on LinkedIn at all. That I've been saying for about, I joined in 2003, so about 23 years. Page followers are fine, but we will always assume the follow and forget engagement model and avoid generating content on LinkedIn that requires engagement. So no asking of questions, no, if there's an announcement of an event, there will not be any reliance on people having seen it there. So we can't make LinkedIn our primary or even secondary engagement channel. Right now it's been the primary, and that's been a hard fail. Most likely news or announcements only on LinkedIn and only lagging. In other words, nothing upcoming. It will always be this happened. If you want to know more, follow our webpage, etc. So we need people that are proactively interested, not wandering on their LinkedIn news feed, oh, what's this smart city thing? That's just not, well, it hasn't worked so far. But that is the way the world works. Well, yeah, look around. Is works the right word? We cannot rely on our local press to take any interest in the challenge until it is actually underway. And even then, we cannot count on anything in general. Our local media does not actually cover the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem and its participants in a useful way. So we will not ask them to try. Look in your local media, whichever one you like the most, or even the second or third most, and look for information about Las Vegas Startup Week, Global Entrepreneurship Week, announcements about new startups launching. There was just a new ribbon cutting a week ago at a new startup here in Vegas. Try to find it. Good luck. We have talked about this a few times, the MuniBits initiative, which is a combination of the My Muni and Welcome initiatives that the Innovate for Vegas Foundation has had on the books for too long, as a deployable platform for information sharing at city scale. And it will be the way we reach out at large to Greater Vegas and maybe beyond. So this is a fine way to start. Coming soon. Obviously, we do need to connect with educators, and it is entirely possible that summertime outreach will work out better. Maybe. In addition to summertime, it probably makes sense to seek out a champion or two who can help with outreach directly with their peers, teachers, educators. So fingers remain crossed. Hopeful is maybe a little bit optimistic, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Aside from a proper website for the Smarter Smart City Challenge, and we did get started, but writing was sort of the writing on the wall was sort of visible a month ago. So some website features that emphasize the 2026 effort to get to 2027 and the start of the challenge will make more sense. We will deploy the Challenger platform in addition. We've talked about this before, but talk is cheap, as they say. Signups for the Smarter Smart City Challenge will be via the Challenger platform. The Challenger platform is how we recognize and celebrate participation in any sort of challenge type event. It could be the Smarter Smart City Challenge, the NASA Space Apps Challenge, the U.S. Congressional Apps Challenge, so many others. They don't even have to have challenge in their name. Challenge is a little bit less presumptive than hackathon. So it's a useful term to differentiate from like a weekend, but some challenges are only on the weekend, so anything goes. Open badges. We talked about the HoloPin in a previous episode. We don't need no stinking badges, I think it was. And despite that company, HoloPin, not being based in the Greater Vegas area, I believe they're in the UK somewhere, but surprisingly, we still got ghosted by them when I reached out. Open badges is open. We can deploy it ourselves. We can host our issuers and our consumers or whatever they're called. And so it will fit into the Smarter Smart City Challenge website as a badge issuer and the Challenger platform as a badge holder. It's like a wallet, but I don't know if there's no blockchain. But I think you can export your wallet, for example. Honestly, I can't recall if this is the open badge terminology, but you get the idea. So the Smarter Smart City Challenge would have badges, sign up, complete something, submit a project, etc. And then you'd be able to keep those badges. And the Challenger platform, part of the Challenger platform goal is to recognize and celebrate participation and achievement. So, hey, here are the people that are actually participating in challenges of any kind. And they don't have to be tech at all. I just happen to come up with a bunch of tech examples. Could be anything. And as badges pile up, you would see, oh, these people they're doing a lot of stuff. Pretty cool. Right now, we have no way of doing that. Students are really not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an awful place to recognize and celebrate people for this sort of thing in general. And it's difficult to get news coverage of this sort of stuff, as I mentioned. So you're not going to appear in the news. Young people may or may not have their own homepage. So there's nothing, so there's a lot of missing pieces with no immediately obvious pieces or places to stick. Well, you don't stick missing pieces somewhere. There are a lot of gaps, and there's no really obvious way to fill those gaps. So we got to fill some gaps. Finally, last point, We need people to care about this, which is a real challenge in Vegas. At least one or two people to join in on the facilitation part, like to take part in our planning and so on. We had two people at our very first facilitator meeting. They didn't return. So I can't do anything about that. That is the Vegas way. So maybe by way of peer nonprofit collaboration, right? Some nonprofit entity could participate, or individuals. But this is a project for more than one person to drive. It can be done with one person, but two or three more people would really help the cause. This may be another chicken and egg scenario where thinking outside the box is not going to work. We just have to find chickens and or eggs. I have to be honest, this is not uncommon in Vegas to have people just, the show me what you got tendencies outweigh the innovator mythos. This is an unfortunate thing if people believe we are a global hub of innovation, and yet that's always for someone else to actually do. So we are hoping that you are, for example, one of the somebody else to actually do. But again, our outreach to young people for their participation is probably critical, not only for 2028, but for the future of Greater Vegas when you really think about it. So existential, not really, but it would be nice if there was a little bit more step up rather than step back. And we'll see what happens. So anyway, that's our reasoning for the deferral. Is it just doesn't make sense to have the clock ticking away. Innovation time where people could actually participate by working on their projects or the ideas that they want to pursue, rather than only discovering that this is a possibility a couple of months from now. And at the rate we're going, it would be December by the time people said, "Oh, okay, I'll think about it." And that's just not going to fly. So 2026 will be spent far less engaged on LinkedIn and far more engaged where we should be, which is with people. I have said for a decade, a little bit more than a decade. No, about a decade. No, a little bit more, a little bit more than a decade. Most people, when they talk about smart cities, they think tech. Not only should smart cities not be considered tech, but any number of non-tech things that go into making a smart city. But don't forget the people. A smart city with no people in it, or a smart city that ignores its people, is not very smart when you think about it. So getting people in a smart city involved directly so that they play a role in making the smart city smarter has been an agenda item since long before Innovate for Vegas Foundation came to be, and it so remains. So we have work to do, and it's very clearly not on LinkedIn. If you're following our LinkedIn page, thank you. If you're following our LinkedIn page, you will find lagging updates. Consider joining our weekly, they moved to monthly for the balance of the year. Our monthly early sign up, our early adopter meetup, where we can chat about how we're putting together the events and the timeline, and looking for incentive programs, free food, prizes, the topic areas. The topic areas would be suggestions, because anything goes, but probably helps to have a few suggested ideas or examples, even non-working examples. And the feature axis, or focus axis, if you like. So mobility might be a topic, and then accessibility might be a feature, right? So if you want to consider mobility and accessibility aspects of mobility, so who can use the mobility features that you're thinking about? Hopefully everybody. That's not always the case. So we're trying to work out a way to incentivize the different features. So you may be in a contest, if you like, around accessibility implementation, or at least consideration within a particular topic. How to make that consumable for everyone so that it doesn't push people away. That's too complicated. I don't know what that means. So having actual real people participate in the planning stages has always been the notion. The early sign-up population of 150 people would ideally be a part of that. Now we just have more time to unfold that possibility. And we'll see what happens by the time it's January 1st, 2027, when the Smarter Smart City Challenge commences for real. That's what I got for you today. Thanks for listening as always. And hopefully, thank you for taking interest in the Smarter Smart City Challenge. It, it should extend beyond Vegas. I don't believe being a resident of Vegas would be a requirement. But hey, we have 0 people interested so far. So we'll see what happens. If we get 1, maybe they won't even be from Vegas. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you for listening as always. And don't forget, our office hours are on Tuesdays for the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. And for the balance of 2026, our our early adopter planning meetups are on Wednesdays, first Wednesday of the month each month. That could change again if they become popular. If more than one person shows up, we could move them back to bi-weekly or weekly. And I've posted the link on LinkedIn, but our webpage, smart-city.vegas, is linked from the Innovate for Vegas Foundation homepage, the activity page. We'll get our link game more useful, coming days now that we don't have to spend time trying to rush. And so, yeah, stay tuned. This will be an exciting adventure with a longer runway. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.